All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this information session about the certificate in Python for Finance. As some of you might know already, we have specializations in asset management, algorithmic trading, and computational finance. That doesn't mean that these are the only topics that we cover, but they are at the core, and around that, we teach a number of very important skills in Python for Finance and beyond. My name is Yves. I'm founder and CEO of the Python Quant and the iMachine, as well as the program director for the CPF. Yeah, let's get started with the agenda. After a brief introduction, I will give you a broad overview of the program itself. I will highlight two classes with, I would say specific purpose, Finance with Python, as well as AI in Finance. I will then briefly show you what you can find on our Quant platform. That's actually the content delivery and code execution platform that we have built for our program. I will also show you study plans that guide you through the comprehensive set of resources that you find on our Quant platform and in our program. I will briefly discuss guiding principles and will then also dive into something pretty new, actually just a few weeks in. We have a new section, new classes with additional quizzes and exercises beyond that what we had before. I will also go through the user forum and Discord server that serve you as an additional resource when you have questions, when you face technical issues, whatever it might be. We are here for you basically 24/7 and try to get back as fast as possible. Last but not least, two additional points. The final project, which is the major milestone, which is a graded project that finally will lead to the certificate itself. And when we wrap up, also a link to the brochure for the upcoming cohort in January 2024. Yeah, let me quickly do a reload for a specific purpose before we dive now into the slide deck. So the introduction. We at the Python Quants, we focus on Python for Finance since many years. We provide training. We provide also services for selected financial institutions. We run events online as well as on site, in person. I have written a bunch of books on the topic with open source libraries. And as I was mentioning before, we also run our Quant platform, where we have, I don't know, close to 50 or even beyond 50,000 registered users on that, and at the core, of course, the delegates of our CPF program. Then we have another project running that's a trading platform which allows you the Python-based, more or less automated deployment of algorithmic trading strategies, something that we have provided access to selected delegates, successful delegates in the past as well. For those of you who are interested in my background, and some of you might not have heard anything about what I've been doing, here for you to read in the slide deck, to which you have, of course, access. I'm not going through the details. Few words about the books. That's the introductory book that I've published, Financial Theory with Python. A Gentle Introduction has been translated recently in a number of languages. Here you see also the Polish version of it. That's really at the start, and also one of our first classes that I will show you later on Finance with Python will be based, or is based, on that particular book, right? And here is the reference word Python for Finance, which is the thickest one in the second edition, which covers chapter by chapter important, if not very important, topics to master the Python skills for finance. It's all about data-driven finance. It includes, for example, visualization, but also topics such as efficient input-output operations, as well as performance Python, but dives also into algorithmic trading and computational finance, for example. Then we have the books which are also at the core of the CPF program. Here, Python for algorithmic trading, from idea to cloud deployment, as well as artificial intelligence in finance. I will say a few words more about AI in finance and which role it plays in our CPF program these days later. So that's basically more or closer to my personal background. So I did my PhD back in the days in mathematical finance. About the dynamic hedging of options and the impact of such strategies on financial markets, in particular on volatility. And here you see my published quant finance books that use Python, but these books, they don't teach really Python. They rather use it as a tool and teach the mathematics and the numerical approaches required in the topics that you can read on the cover. So now to the program. You have seen already parts of the program. Of course, the books are an integral part, and when you sign up for our CPF program, you get access to the PDF versions of the books, a total of 2,500 pages, and that's just the books. Of course, you get more resources through the program in online form. Speaking of online form, here you see what is, if you like, already there. In terms of classes, as well as the size, so to say, of the classes. You have on the left-hand side the foundational parts, the foundational classes, where you see here a bootcamp, which is also publicly available. I provide a link to that later on so that you can get a flavor of how this works with our CPF program. Crypto basics, Linux basics, mathematics basics, natural language processing, Python for databases, Python and Excel, financial data science, and Python for finance basics. You see already the number of hours here in the foundational part. And this is not to say that you need to necessarily go through every single hour, every single module video that is available in these parts, but that is there. So for example, some people say Excel is important for me. So feel free to get started early on with Excel. Some say, well, maybe later on, but not now. Some say Linux is something that I wanted to learn since quite a while. Here you have the resources. Or some say my math is a little bit rusty. I want to refresh my mathematics knowledge here. You have 45 modules using Python, so you learn Python or additional Python tricks maybe on top of the mathematical topics that are covered. So everything, of course, is Python powered and Python based, if you like. Here we also have a foundation class, Python for Finance Basics, which covers step by step the most important topics that I see there in Python for Finance. Then the applications here, right? You see on the left-hand side here a lot of AI, like reinforcement learning for finance, AI in finance book. I'm just about to write, or I'm in the course of writing a book about reinforcement learning for finance. Also Python for asset management, and 25 hours, which is one of the core topics, right? Then we have the algorithmic trading part, which is quite comprehensive here, as well as on the right-hand side, the computational finance part. At the very basic level here, there is the finance with Python class, which I want to highlight later on as well. You see that's a total of about 330 hours, and that's growing. So we are currently, with the current cohort, adding every week additional resources, additional modules. So when you sign up for the CPF program, you will benefit from additional content over time. All year round, we are adding new stuff. Sometimes we also update stuff, of course, right? There might be the need to update several modules or whole classes. That, of course, is happening, from which you will benefit as well. And just to mention it, because I'm talking about access here and what you can expect, with our CPF program, you have indefinite access to your online resources. It's not that we say after 12 months, that was it, bye-bye. To the contrary, we like to have our delegates around for as long as possible, being active in our community. And we have many delegates that have signed up for our program years ago and that are still active on the Discord server, that are still active in the user forum, that asked me for new content that was added to the platform. And this is what we really like, that we can provide you additional benefits later on as well. Here, just for you as reference, I just wanted to ask, because it's so en vogue these days, ChatGPT, about Python in finance, right? Explain why Python has become the #1 programming language in finance. Provide 7 short bullet points. So here you find easy to learn, versatile libraries, data handling, integration, support for algorithms and modeling, community, and support flexibility. I think there are at least 7 more, if not 14 more reasons why Python has become the #1 language and programming skill in finance. Here, the same for hedge funds, because I know many of you might be interested in joining maybe a company on the buy side, so hedge fund or systematic trading shop. Why do hedge funds these days primarily use Python for, or what do they use Python for? Data analysis, quant modeling, algorithmic trading, risk management, data visualization, machine learning, and AI, of course, web scraping. And the list here again could be added, or there could be additional bullet points be added to that list, because these are very important elements, but there are more things that you can do with Python. And that's already quite impressive what you can do with Python in finance, right? So Python finance, Python hedge funds, here Python for algorithmic trading, another list of 7 bullet points here. Ease of use, versatility, speed of development, or Python for computational finance, efficient libraries, parallel processing, scalabilities. All these topics are topics that are covered in our program. So you will learn the skills to basically implement what is listed here in terms of the application areas of Python in the different subdomains, if you like. For example, here, machine learning and AI is so at the core of our program these days. We live it really, that we say, well, today that's the age of data-driven finance as well as AI-first finance, and that's reflected absolutely in the program. So when I speak of data-driven finance and AI-first finance, here 2 quotes that are not related to finance. Right? Sometimes I fall into the trap of only speaking about finance. Of course, we are in a situation that business and science and many other domains and areas are driven these days by AI, by the new tools, by the new approaches, by the capabilities that we have now that we haven't had 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? So AI tools are now moving from being pushed by the researchers to being embraced by specialists in other fields, right? So many scientific areas, and I would add finance here to the mix as well, these days benefit from the application of AI. And then we have here another quote from The Economist, where you find the link behind these smaller screenshots. The 2 essential ingredients for an AI model are data sets. Data, right? Finance, as well as so many other disciplines, are data driven. And we have seen, if you have access to a lot of data and if you are able to crunch a lot of data, what is possible with AI and machine learning, right? ChatGPT is something everybody knows these days. And without data and without the processing power, as they write here, this wouldn't have been possible, right? And of course, we see also advancements here in terms of the hardware, the specialist AI chips, and more is to come. So finance is today a data-driven, AI-first industry, right? And our program is, if you like, tailored to the needs of a data-driven, AI-first financial industry. All about data processing, financial data science, as well as the application of AI and machine learning, reinforcement learning to the financial discipline. Of course, we cover traditional finance and other approaches as well, but that's really at the core of what we do. And here you get the summary. If you are successful, you will get awarded the certificate in Python for finance. There will also be a specialization on the certificate, such as asset management, algorithmic trading, or computational finance. You see here the overview of the resources. It's quite a bit. I would say it's roughly the content and the resources of a typical master's in finance or master's in financial engineering program, but of course with a strong focus on the programming side of things, which doesn't mean that there is no finance, no math, whatever. Of course, you get the other topics covered as well, but it is Python first. This is what I need to say about our program. And when people ask me, what's the difference between the CPF and maybe others? Here it's Python, it's programming, and everything else supports what we do in that area. But this is what drives the industry these days, the implementation, the numerics. You hardly find people these days which call themselves model quants, which sit down with pen and paper and somehow with ingenuity come up with a very new mathematical model which is then applied into practice. It's the other way around. People sit there, program, try things out, implement pipelines to apply machine learning to the tons of data that we have. So it's a little bit upside down compared to where we are coming from in the past. If you're interested in reading what others have said, here are a few quotes from recent delegates. Of course, these are the good ones, but I'm pretty happy that we hardly ever get complaints that people say, well, I couldn't find anything that was advancing me in terms of my skills or in terms of my career. I rather like to get emails like from one delegate that I have in mind that said, well, if I'm so grateful that I found your program, I just changed job and was able to double my salary. It's unbelievable. Probably also a good guy, but he said with what he has published also on Medium, based on what he has learned in our program, was really helping in transitioning into a better paid position. So please read through it and yeah, maybe get a feel for what others think about our program. Speaking in terms of getting a feel, here you see a screenshot from a recent Python for Finance online bootcamp that we did, which was public, so it's also here on YouTube available. So when you click here on that screenshot, you will get directed to this particular video, which is one in a series of three. The three are about 3 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes each, and down here you see the link to our YouTube channel. So you can also go to that channel and there you find much more like recent talks of mine, other information sessions, yeah, wealth of videos about Python for Finance and around our program. So speaking of the classes, right, I said that finance with Python is really a fundamental class, right? And therefore, I want to highlight that class because it also shows how many of the classes that we offer are structured. So we have here the case that we have the book available as a PDF, right? I will show you that on the Quant platform after I've covered here the basic structure. Then you have the modules or sessions, right, where you find recordings of video recordings of the live session, plus additional links to resources. This can be a Jupyter Notebook, this can be a link to a slide deck or whatever. And here you see on our Quant platform, which I will illustrate later on as well, you can then open the Jupyter Notebooks, execute them, play around with them, create copies, change them, and yeah, work with the resources that you find. Basically, for many classes, there's no need to download the Jupyter Notebooks to execute it locally. You can do it on the Quant platform, and you will have the latest, or at least the current version of the resources available there. So that's the gentle introduction to finance, Python, and the combination of both. And that's really foundational. I expect in the other classes that people have mastered this particular class and content because it's, as I was saying, foundational. And it has only a few hours. So when you get back to the overview, it's one of the shortest, the smallest classes, however you want to put it. But I would say it's one of the most important ones. Then artificial intelligence in finance, which is so at the core of the program. You also have here the book in PDF form, artificial intelligence in finance. Python-based guide. Then you have the sessions with the Jupyter Notebooks and maybe links to slides, whatever. Plus, of course, the opportunity also to execute these modules directly on the Quant platform, right? So here you see in the subheader, replacing traditional normative finance by data-driven AI-first finance. And this is really something that we live data-driven, AI-first finance. And this is reflected here in the number of modules. So we have 24 modules and sessions about AI in finance. I must say that are purely dedicated to that topic, plus 9 module sessions, reinforcement learning for finance. In many, many other modules and sessions, you will find machine learning applied as well. Let's say in the asset management modules, there's a lot of machine learning. In the algorithmic trading modules, there's a lot of machine learning. So here you only see the number of the dedicated modules and sessions about AI in finance, right? So that's again a prototypical class, book, modules, videos, plus here the the opportunity to execute it. But if you prefer, you can also download the Jupyter Notebooks and you can execute the Jupyter Notebooks on your local machine as well, if this is what you prefer. So now to the Quant platform, because what you have seen just before now are screenshots about what to expect on the Quant platform. But now maybe a look at what else you find on the Quant platform beyond classes. You see here the dashboard. Basically, we have the books, classes, and not much more here, right? The user forum and Jupyter Lab. So there are the, let's say, the fixed resources. Here are the user forum where you can post your questions that you might have. Jupyter Lab for the execution of the code. Then you have the single modules, and we have recently added a number of GPT-powered features, such as the automated transcription of videos, so that you find summaries, for example, here, like you see the summary of that video. I write to every module a brief text, which is very brief, but with the GPT-generated summary, you get much more insight into what to expect from this particular module, from this particular session. We have also full search over every single spoken word of every video. So that's really something we are really proud of. So when you see like the 330 hours, this is thousands and thousands of spoken words, many, many more words than written words to be found. And thanks to AI-powered designs that we've recently implemented, we have made this all searchable for you. I will demonstrate, right? And then we have the Jupyter Lab, we have the user forum, and the books here as well, right? So before we move on here, a brief look at the new search functionality. When you look, for example, for pandas, you get here all the hits in a certain video. Not only for the videos, but also in other resources, right? And I want to show you this now here on the dashboard to get started with. Currently, we are doing a class which is called PFF Key Skills, because you have seen the number of resources, the comprehensive set of resources that we have created over the years. And I thought it would be good to have a relatively short class, only a few modules, which really highlights the most important skills in Python for finance. And this is what we got started with the current cohort. You see, this is the latest video, and when I hover over the videos, you can always hear the AI generated summary. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's a bit less. Here, for example, you get the summary for the recent kickoff session. For the September cohort, you can read here, I hope this is large enough, the CPF kickoff session in September introduced the certificate in Python for finance, offers specializations, the program includes XYZ, session discussed the recommended study plan. So you see here more or less a detailed summary of what to expect behind video. So it's not necessary anymore, I must say. I'm so happy and proud of that. People don't need to open a video and try to skip through it to find something that you might recall or might get an overview of what to expect. This is now here available in a much better and more easy to comprehend form. So here we have the user forum with the latest forum post. You see here a question, a technical one, a financial one about the replication of option payoff. Here somebody posted something about recorded videos. Here there was an issue with SSL certificates on Windows for Jupyter Lab, the pricing of option versus American options versus European options, right? And then I can also go down here. There are the different boards that we have about the Quant platform itself, finance with Python, or AI in finance. And you see here, that's the most popular board, Python for algorithmic trading, where we have 652 topics. And if you have some question, let's consider you follow a video and a question pops up, before you post something new, I would recommend here to go and search through the user forum and see whether somebody else has asked a question and what has been the answer. Like people do these days on Stack Overflow. The probability is high that given the breadth and depth of information on Stack Overflow, for example, that somebody has had the question before and others have answered it. The same holds true, and I wanted to show you this. When I, for example, type in here, yeah, that's for the forum. Let's say I put in here pandas for the forum. I wanted to show you the same for the videos. This takes a little bit here until we get the hits. You see here 320 search results for pandas. Of course, when I just search for pandas, that's really unspecific. I just wanted to have something with a lot of hits here, right? Where you see the highlights here in the user forum, where pandas plays any role in that particular post. So this is something that we have more or less since the beginning of the user forum, right? But what I wanted to show you here is the search over the videos. When I type here pandas, the same question, this takes of course a while because it sifts through the database and looks up all the hits. And here we get now first no search results for pandas in personal notes. I show you that, how that works. 97 search results for pandas in the videos, right? So we see here 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's just like in 97 videos where there are hits. Let's say, let's pick out here that one in the video mathematics basics, right? You see here, including timestamps. That's not even on the screenshot, so that's very recent here, including the exact timestamps, right? But we would see with pandas, many things are basically either the same or pretty much the same. So that's here the exact words that I've spoken for the video, but you see 28 more results, 22 more results. So when I go here and click on the more results, you see here the timestamps for every occurrence of pandas in the video, right? And let's say you would go to the video 3 minutes 13, it jumps directly to the position here in the video, right? Where, and it's now already running and it's playing already, right? And then you could go further through the video or see what is said there. You have seen before personal notes, right? And for every video you have here the opportunity to write notes, just a sample note about pandas, let's say, right? I add a timestamp and add a note here, right? So now at 17:57, there is my note. And these notes are persistent and there are personal notes for you. So when you watch the video, you want to do a comment or a marker or whatever, here you can add your notes. And when you later on get back to that video, you can always revisit your notes there. Just like marking something in a book or in a PDF electronically. This is how you can do it here as well. And your search results, and I've shown you that before, might show then as well also hits for your personal notes, right? So the typical structure for the classes, as was mentioning before, is that we have a book, Financial Theory with Python. So they are password protected, the PDFs. So that's the full book, Financial Theory with Python, that you can read here on the Quant platform, right? So this gives you the theoretical background. Then we have for the Finance with Python class here. When I scroll down, you see the long list of classes that we have. Finance with Python, there are a total of 6 modules. As before, of course, you get the summary. Here, the GPT generated summary for every single video. You also get the link to the slide deck. Plus, you get here, for example, when I click on, I have already something open here. I click on that, I can then also open the single Jupyter notebooks and can execute the code there. So there was like, I wasn't aware of that. I have a Jupyter Lab here on the Quant platform open with the same login in another window. Therefore, it didn't open here. But you see, as it works, right? You have text, you have the videos. You can watch every single videos. You might want to make your notes there that you can timestamp, right? You have the code on the portal, right? And yeah, then you can basically study, create, review, make notes, and search for everything that is available on the platform. And again, I'm pretty happy about the full searchability of all the videos that we have now available for you to have a more efficient study experience. Right? Yeah, that much maybe about the Quant platform. You have seen the user forum before. Searchability, and I was mentioning that here in the search results, you see that there is not yet the timestamping. This is something that we have just introduced. So in that screenshot, the timestamping is not there, but for every hit that you get for pandas, for whatever you're searching for, right, you get the exact timestamp, and just by clicking on the timestamp, you jump to the video. I think that's really, really efficient. Now, with regard to the study plans, you basically have 2 options, and you have many, many more. Let's say you have 2 standard options, and beyond that, you have every other option that you might come up with regard to how you study. So the standard option is that you follow one of the live cohorts, which is usually 16 weeks long, about 4 months, where we have 12 weeks of scheduled learning. So when there is not the link behind that, so I can, oh, sorry, I was now leaving that, but that's not a big deal. I can easily get back to that. So you see here, the study plan, which is updated on at least on a weekly basis. Here you see 24th of September. This was updated latest in the current cohort. We are here in week 4, and this is what is recommended to be studied in week 4. We recommend to just focus on one of the core topics at the first run. You can always repeat, you can always study the other classes later on, but yeah, to try to master all the 3 topics at once usually is a bit too much, apart from situations where you say, I have full-time availability and I'm focusing full-time on the program, then feel free to study as much as you like. But most of our delegates are professionals and yeah, have daily workload to master. Therefore, we recommend to focus first on one of the core topics and later on maybe go through the others. You see here the live sessions that are highlighted. You see optional sessions, AI and finance, financial data science, tools and skills, here with regard to Linux and other development tools. That's basically what we recommend. That's not even reflecting the resources that we have on top of that. You might have noticed, for example, there's no mentioning of the mathematics basics class. There's no mentioning of the Python for Finance basics class. There's no mentioning of the crypto basics class, etc. pp. There's much more to explore and to learn from on the Quant platform. than what you see here. But this is what I would say on a first go, this is pretty good. Or you might say, well, if, for example, I'm signing up at the end of September for the CPF, starting with the January cohort, I have October, November, December time to go through all the basic classes, and then I jump into the live cohort. All of that is possible. We provide you with all the flexibility. But I was mentioning that basically now I need to move forward faster because I was leaving here unintentionally my PDF. So I need to get back to the slide where I was before. In the Quant platform, right? The study plans, that is the basic option 1. And here we have the basic option 2 for those who want to study completely self-paced and want to do so, for example, over the course of a complete year. Think of it like a master's program, which goes over 1 year. And there is the other study plan. Now, let me do it as I wanted to do before. There is the other study plan here, the self-paced option, right? The self-paced option has the first trimester where we recommend to get started with asset management. Here you see also math basics reflected. Then the second trimester, algorithmic trading. There's also crypto basics now reflected. And the third trimester here where computational finance is recommended. This is all flexible. These are, as we call them, sample study plans. If you say, I'm really interested in using Python for database management, then you might not want to wait until the final trimester to go through that topic. You might want to do this early on. You can pick and choose basically, but for a number of things, we really recommend adhering to the basics, right? So I would say here asset management, no matter what, if you replace asset management by algorithmic trading, nevertheless, you should do finance with Python, right? Here, data science, tools and skills is something that I would recommend to get started with immediately, right? This helps you in every other conceivable situation, right? Therefore, a couple of things are noteworthy. If you would have questions in this regard, you could always reach out and we could help you out in composing an appropriate study plan where we might check whether the sequence of what you are planning to do makes sense. So it's fully modular. Therefore, I'm saying we have two basic options: 4 months live cohort, 1 year self-paced. That's like the one end of the spectrum, and the other one, even if you do self-paced, you can always attend live sessions. That's not an either or. That's really something that you can combine as you like. So you see, you have all the flexibility, and we can accommodate every, let's say, schedule and availability of yourself with regard to your study preferences and priorities. A few guiding principles which I consider noteworthy. I mentioned this already. Our program is Python first. So coding and implementation are the focus rather than theory or practical considerations. Often I get emails, which algorithmic trading strategies do you teach? As you might notice, this doesn't include any programming specific element, right? Programming specific would be, which Python techniques do you teach in order to be able to implement algorithmic trading strategies? So I usually answer, we are Python first program. CPF is Python first. We teach a lot of algorithmic trading. We show a lot of algorithmic trading strategies, but this is not how we get started with the topic. So programming comes first, and then we have the specific examples. Speaking of specific here, algorithms used and examples shown are specific in nature and not meant to provide an exhaustive overview. I like to compare, as I've done before, the comprehensive set of resources that we provide to a master's program. But we are not like in the academic ivory tower where we spend months on end on theory, right, and on mastering abstract concepts. So everything that we do is specific and it's code driven. Everything is also reproducible. all the examples that you find in our program are based on static data sets to allow for reproducible results. This does not mean that we don't cover data APIs and working with APIs and how to access data via APIs, but you can expect fixed data sets which allow you to actually replicate everything that you see in a certain model in a certain session on your machine as well, because you have access to the very same data. And it should be practical, and this cohort beyond the new class PFF key skills, our major focus is on adding a ton of resource. And when I say a ton, I don't know how many hours people would need to spend when they want to go through all the quizzes, all the multiple choice questions, all the coding exercises that we already have now and that we are going to add over the course of this live cohort, right? Here, to acquire coding and other practical skills is the main goal. This is like, if you want to learn how to play the piano, you need to play the piano. If you want to learn how to drive a car, there comes the day after theory. I can speak of that right now. My son is currently attending driver school. He is still in the theoretical phase, but it isn't too long away that he needs to jump on a car and needs to join the real world traffic. Right? The same holds true with coding. You can sit there and watch session after session. This is informative. This is a very good basis, at least we hope so, in all the areas that we cover. But you need to sit down and, like playing the piano, for skill acquisition, you need to program, right? That's really here about our guiding principles. Python first, everything is pretty specific. All should be reproducible, given that we use fixed data sets, and it should be really practical and not a theoretical exercise like watching a movie, being amused by it and having had a good laugh, but afterwards, you have forgot about it. You should do it, you should acquire the skill itself, and it should be yours, right? The content might remain on the Quant platform, but the skill is something that you should internalize. Speaking of the quizzes and exercises, we have started adding basically 3 types of additional content. So we have had in the past already review questions after every 3-week milestone. We provide you with high-level abstract review questions which should challenge you with regard to the understanding of the core concept. So I'm not showing you these, I'm just showing you new stuff. We also have weekly tutorials with simple exercises, advanced exercises, and even test projects, to which you will find sessions which show you and explain you the solutions. What we are now adding are, in terms of the structure, simple yes, no questions, right? Here, for example, 10 yes, no questions about the differences among tuple, list, set, and dictionary. So these data structures are at the core, for example, of Python for Finance key skills, Python for Finance basics. They are covered in financial data science. And here now, after the questions about every single data structure, you find questions about the differences between them. Right? So that you can, again, check your understanding in a very simple, but nevertheless pretty specific way. Then, to get a bit more involved, multiple choice question. Here, see just 4 of 15 about NumPy, ND array objects, and NumPy universal function. It always starts easy. What is NumPy primarily used for? Web development, game development, numerical computing, or text processing. Even without having seen one session about NumPy, you might know already, or you could even guess from the name that the appropriate answer is C. But as you might imagine, this can get also a bit more involved here with the multiple choice one. And then the coding questions. This is then really the practical part. So use nested for loops to print a pyramid pattern. Think about a relation between rows, spaces, and stars, using a while loop, using if, elif, else structure. So these are advanced control structure exercise where you get, I don't know how many, 20 or whatever and later on you will then get access to the solution. So this is really one of our focal points for that cohort, where we on a weekly basis add and I don't know how many quiz questions, multiple choice questions, and coding exercises we have already on the Quant platform. If somebody wants to master them all, I think that requires a bit of effort. If you face any issues, let's say you want to discuss the solution of such a coding exercise with your peers, with other delegates, use the user forum. You can post code there, you can ask questions, everybody can see that. People can subscribe to stream to a discussion so that they get email notifications. That's really what the user forum is there for. Not only for coding exercises, but of course, if you have a question about the content or you cannot execute some code elements or whatever, right? That's basically what the user forum is for. We get always notified by email. No need to write us a separate email or ping us. We get always notified, our team, when you have a new post on the user forum. So the Discord server is more for live interactive chats, everything beyond technical and content related questions, right? So here, just a screenshot from a recent Q&A session where people ask questions about the final project. This is usually more towards the end of the live cohort. But people are asking, I don't know, about career opportunities or about some current topics, maybe about some research paper in finance or machine learning, right? So there are many different, how shall I say, topics that are simply beyond the content and the technicalities, right? We have even here any other topics, and you see here the channel, any other topics here, right? Where people post maybe fun stuff or ask, I don't know, questions which are off topic, for example. That's more the community aspect here. Some people ask me also whether there is opportunity to network, in person. I would like to do so, but since we have delegates from around the world, it's usually not possible. But online, at least, we have the Discord server that we run, where we have hundreds of recent and current delegates that take part in there, and where you can meet them at least online, right? Yeah, the final project is to be delivered as a Jupyter notebook, and I wanted to just check again and open, because this is something that I was missing, that I wanted to show you, that here for every single, because I just closed something on the other screen, so this is now a little bit off sequence, but nevertheless, I wanted to show you that with regard to the classes, here is the one Jupyter notebook that I wanted to open before, but this clashed with another instance, which is open. I have here a number of instances of everything open, so every once in a while there is such a clash. And you see here for Finance with Python, a gentle introduction. Here for the second session, contingent claim valuation, option valuation, what's going on in that class, a brief summary, and then you have the code here that you can, on the Quant platform, execute and can work with that. You can follow along if you like in real time. When you watch, for example, a recording, you can follow along here with your own Jupyter notebook, maybe make notes in the Jupyter notebook, etc. So this should all work seamlessly, right? And now something slipped my mind, right? We have the single Jupyter notebooks, and I usually say, you have seen it before, 250 plus Jupyter notebooks. So I'm pretty convinced that we have more than 500, but I thought that 250 is a good number in line with the other numbers that we have there. So Jupyter notebooks are really what is at the core of what we teach, but of course you get also other Python files, scripts, etc. And now I have my point back. If you want to download this, you can download it. So here there is no login. You can download it to your local machine, and then you can execute it there as well, right? This is just, how shall I say, an offer that we have, that you execute the code that we provide on our own platform, to which you have access, but that's not the only option. You also have the option to download the Jupyter Notebook files and then to execute them locally. This is something that I just wanted to, before we wrap up, just want to show you again that from the Quant platform, when I open here something, I can also go maybe, let's go to that one, click on 05, Finance with Python. This is, since this is now open, right? It didn't open another tab. It simply opens here 05 Finance with Python. You see seamlessly in the background, and you have now the other Jupyter Notebook open here on that I have clicked before. So full access, full resources, everything at your fingertips in a single place maintained by us with your personal access. Right? So once you sign up for our program, you get immediately afterwards an email with a login credential. So basically, it's like buying a ticket for the movies, going to the cinema. If you buy a ticket, you move on, you sit down, and you watch the movie. That's how it works with us. It's not like with some or even many other programs that you sign up now and you wait like 2 months until the program starts. With our program, you have immediately full access to all the resources, and if you sign up at 12 p.m. you can get started at 12:30 latest with studying the resources. And once you have studied, once you have mastered the necessary skills, the final project is due. This is the major prerequisite to earn the certificate, right? And the requirements for the final project are listed here in a document which has 3 pages roughly. That's about the topic itself, deliverables, the hosting. It needs to be hosted on GitHub, must be Colab executable, the approach itself, how it is to be formatted, the revision rules, and the grading here, right? So that's basically about it. But of course, it is more like a bachelor's thesis than it is like a little coding exercise. So there are quite a few requirements that need to be met. But if you study diligently our program, I think this will come naturally. So the basic deliverable is a Jupyter Notebook, which is standalone executable, hosted on GitHub and Google Colab executable. If there are any technical issues or glitches, you can always reach out. We will find a solution, but that's about the basic requirements, and therefore I'm highlighting these at this point. But I wouldn't worry about the final project at all, at least not until you have reached a point, maybe the end of a life cohort or maybe half year of studying, when you say, well, now it's the time I feel skilled enough to get started with the final project, and I have a good project idea. Now it's a time, and then you should start getting into this topic, not earlier. Don't worry about that. I'm pretty sure you will be able to master that. Last but not least, the brochure, which on 4 pages basically covers everything. So the next live cohort starts 8th of November, but I was emphasizing this a bunch of times. We currently have super early bird pricing. It's the lowest fee you can get. If you sign up now, if you sign up tonight, you will be able to get started immediately. If you sign up tomorrow, you can get started tomorrow also immediately. This is all automated, and of course you will get emails, you get invites to live sessions, etc. There is a then continuous communication flow, and the here behind the screenshots there is the link. When you click on the screenshots, then you will get access to the PDF brochure, which you can also download and read through in every detail. Yeah, this brings me to the end of today's CPF information session. So I noticed earlier that my slide deck has the number 42 here, right? 42, which is supposed to be the answer to everything according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I hope that my 42 slides here, that this slide deck comprising 42 slides, has answered all the questions. If not, you can always reach out to us, but you should, if you are in China, from China, reach out to Charlie, via which you have been invited. He is our newly appointed CPF head for China, right? He can answer all your questions. He can address any doubt you might have, any technical issues that you fear you will face, right? So he is there for you. We are there for you in cooperation, in close contact with Charlie. Yeah, to help you out, to help you every step on the way, to have the best and most efficient learning experience, the steepest learning curve that you can have with mastering everything Python for finance, and to finally obtain the prestigious CPF, which will for sure propel you forward in terms of the competition in the financial industry, or which will, many people do our program as well, for that reason, also empower you, equip you with all the skills to build up, for example, your own algorithmic trading operation, just to mention one more entrepreneurial field where people also come to us, sign up for our program, learn the skills, and then get started with their own trading operation. Yeah, in that sense, I wish you all the best. Take care. And of course, I hope to see you in one of our next CPF sessions. Take care. Bye bye.